I am Professor L.B.Gayakawad, who is talking on the third video, and the third video is organs of speech. We will discuss at first the first organ of this video, and it is larynx. Larynx. Remember, what is larynx? Larynx is the hollow muscular organ. The hollow muscular organ, means this organ is related with the muscles, and that's why it is called the muscular organ. This organ forms a passage of air to the lungs. Forms the passage of air to the lungs. It means that this larynx builds the passage, the way of air, means the air passage is made by this larynx to the lungs, and that passage goes to the lungs, means up to the lungs it makes the passage. That is the explanation. Then holds the vocal cords in the voice box. Holds the vocal cords in the voice box. Remember, in the voice box. The next function of this larynx is to hold, means it holds the vocal cords, means this larynx holds, packs the vocal cords. Vocal cords means, we know, vocal cords are here, and these vocal cords help us to speak our speech sounds. That is called the vocal cords. And these vocal cords are held, are caught, are packed by the larynx in the voice box. In the voice box means there is the box, there is the place, and that place is called the voice box. And in that voice box, this larynx holds the vocal cords. That is the I will say the function of the larynx. Now, what is the voice box? The throat area of the vocal cords. The throat area of the vocal cords. Remember, what is the explanation? The vocal area of the vocal cords means, remember, the larynx catches the vocal cords in the voice box. Then there is the throat area, means the section of the throat, that is called the throat area, and that throat area is full of the vocal cords, means this is the throat area, and this throat area is full of the vocal cords, and these vocal cords are available in the throat. The next is the vocal area is called the voice box. The vocal area is called the voice box. Remember, what is the voice box? The voice box is called the vocal area. Means the vocal cords are there, and the vocal cords speak the sounds, and that is the box. And in that voice box, the vocal cords are situated, are placed by God, and these vocal cords speak our sounds, and that's why the vocal area is called the vocal box. It is used for breathing. Remember, it is used for breathing, means we can breathe. It is used for breathing, means we can breathe. It is used for talking. It is used for talking, means we can talk. And it is used for swallowing. It is used for swallowing, means we can swallow, means we can take in the particular food, or swallow means we can swallow some things, and that is called swallowing. Then the larynx, remember all these functions are of the larynx. So remember, the next function is the larynx passage. The larynx passes means the larynx puts ahead, sends ahead the air. The air sends ahead the air from the throat, from the throat to the trachea, to the trachea. It means that now the function of this larynx is that the larynx sends the air from the throat, means from this throat the larynx sends the air to the trachea, means to the windpipe. Trachea means what? Windpipe, to the windpipe. To that windpipe the larynx sends that air. Then from this trachea, then the larynx sends that air to the lungs, then helps to produce the sounds. Remember, to produce the sounds. Means what is the point? The point is that the larynx helps to produce the sounds. Means the meaning is very clear, that all these functions step by step are done by this larynx, and finally the sounds are produced by this larynx, and we produce those sounds. And this larynx is the last function, is that the larynx is at the top of the windpipe. Where is the larynx? The larynx is at the top of the windpipe. So remember here, just we discuss the functions, just we discuss the characteristics of the larynx, and what is the larynx? Remember, this larynx helps us to produce our sounds. Now we will discuss the next organ of speech of this video, and it is pharynx. The next is, means second is pharynx. Pharynx. Remember, this is the next organ. Means we have seen the larynx. Now we are studying here the pharynx. So what is the pharynx? The pharynx is the space It is the space. It is the space. Space means it is the place. It is the section. It is the place. It is the pharynx. It is the space between the tongue back. Between the tongue. Between the tongue back. Tongue back means at the back of the tongue. That is the tongue back, means the back tongue, and the throat back wall, and the throat and the throat and the throat back wall, back wall, throat back wall. So remember, where is the pharynx? The pharynx is the place, the section, it is the point, and that point, that space is situated between the tongue back, means at the place of the back tongue and the throat back wall. Throat back wall means the back wall of the throat and the back of the tongue. Between these two parts, the pharynx is situated. The pharynx is placed by God, and this pharynx helps us to produce our sound, and that's why this pharynx is called the throat. Means commonly means everywhere it is called the throat. Remember, it is called the throat. What is the pharynx? The pharynx is called the throat, means our throat is our pharynx. That is the point. So remember now, what does this pharynx do? It receives the air from the nasal cavity. Remember, receives the air from the nasal cavity. Remember, nasal cavity means what is the point? This is our nasal cavity. This is our nasal cavity, and this pharynx receives means gets, secures, collects the air from the nasal cavity, means that air comes from the nasal cavity, and this air is adopted, is taken by this pharynx. That is the point. Then this pharynx again receives the air, it receives the food, it receives the water from the oral cavity, oral cavity. What is the oral cavity? Oral cavity means our mouth. So remember, what is the explanation? The explanation is that the pharynx receives the air, means collects the air, water from the oral cavity, means from the mouth. That is the explanation. So next is, this pharynx never lets go food into the windpipe, So what is the explanation? Because of this pharynx, the food does not go into the windpipe, and that's why my point is that this pharynx stops the food from going into the windpipe. That is the next function of this pharynx, I will say. And thus the pharynx helps in this way, or thus this pharynx helps to produce our speech sounds. That is the explanation. Remember, in the third video we have discussed just now the pharynx. Now our next point is glottis. Our next point is glottis. Glottis. Remember, here we are discussing the organs of speech, and this is the third video, and now we are discussing on the part or organ glottis. Glottis. What is glottis? The glottis is called the larynx part. Remember, this is glottis is the larynx part. Larynx part or larynx organ. So remember, glottis is the part of the larynx. That is the explanation. And this glottis is this glottis is with the vocal cords. With the vocal cords. Remember, this glottis is available with the vocal cords. Means the vocal cords and the glottis are with each other in the production system, in our chest, in our nasal cavity, or in our oral cavity. That is the explanation. Then there is the opening space. Remember, then there is the opening space. Opening space. Space means opening space means opening space means the place. Space means the place, means there happens the opening place, opening section, and that section is available between the vocal cords. Means opening space between the vocal cords, means there is the opening space between the vocal cords. That is the next I will say function, vocal cords. Then there is the opening opens. That is the glottis opens into the windpipe. The glottis opens into or in the windpipe. What is the explanation? The glottis opens means, remember, the glottis starts in the windpipe, or the glottis opens into the windpipe or starts into the windpipe. That is the explanation. Thus, in this way, the glottis helps to articulate, produce, pronounce the speech sounds. Now, the next organs of speech is the organs of speech. The next part, the organ of speech, is epiglottis. 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 Remember, now we are discussing about the epiglottis. What is the epiglottis? The epiglottis protects the larynx. Remember, protects the larynx. What is larynx? Voice box. Voice box means there is the voice box, means there is the larynx, and this epiglottis protects the larynx. That is the point. So remember, and helps to swallow our food. means when we swallow, when we digest, when we take in our food, to that process this epiglottis helps, and that's why here the epiglottis helps to swallow, to take in our food. That is the explanation. And then this epiglottis pushes nose air, pushes ahead, pushes ahead the nose air. Remember, nose air. The nose air means, the nose air means there is the air in the nose, and that nose air is sent ahead, pushed ahead, okay, by the particular epiglottis. That is the explanation. Again, this epiglottis pushes the mouth air to the lungs. Remember, pushes the mouth air to the lungs, means, what is the explanation? There are our lungs, and this epiglottis takes that air and pushes the air through the mouth to the lungs, means that air goes through the mouth to the lungs. That is the I will say function of the epiglottis. And then this epiglottis covers trachea, trachea means covers trachea. It means that it controls the trachea, that is the windpipe, and then the food does not go into the lungs. That is the main function of this epiglottis. The epiglottis helps and controls the trachea, means controls the windpipe, and our food does not go into the windpipe, and our food goes into the stomach. Actually, our food goes into the stomach. Our food does not go into the windpipe. That is the explanation. Now, the next organ of the speech is the food passage. Food passage. Means there is the food passage. It means that there is the passage, there is the way, there is the space, there is the place. That place is called the food passage. Means there is the particular passage, the empty place, the road, there is the line of food passage, means the food goes into the stomach, and that area is called the food passage. And this food passage helps for swallowing food. This food passage helps to swallow food. Means with the help of this food passage, we eat our food and we swallow our food. That is the explanation. And the last organ of speech is windpipe. So what is the function of this windpipe? This windpipe helps to breathe. This windpipe helps to breathe. To breathe means what? We take our air inside and we leave that air outside. So taking air inside and leaving air outside is the function of the windpipe. So remember today we saw the organs of speech, and this is the last video of the organs of speech. This is the third video. I tried to give you the detail all the organs of speech. Please tell me your opinions in the comment box. Till then I stop here. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.